Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. This is Football at 4.
All right, Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by PropSwap, America's sports betting marketplace. Sell your sports bets, take your profit, find out how. Go to PropSwap.com. Download the PropSwap app today. Geoff Mosher is back in the house. We ran a little long there with Mark Zumoff. We were talking beer, man. I can't not. You know, talk beer with Zoo on Happy Hour Friday. What's up, Moshe?
None. I totally understand it. What's up? In fact, we've tried to experiment with some places to come up with our own brand beer, like an ITB IPA has been discussed before, and may someday make its debut.
I like that. I've actually have talked to a couple of handlers about doing a sports bash brew.
There you go. Look, we're all just trying to brand a brand and beer at the same time.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I saw Zoo has got the beer Zooisms, and it's a hazy IPA, which is right up my alley.
Sounds up your alley.
Yeah, that would be.
You're a hazy kind of guy.
Yeah, good conversation. He had some good stuff to add. Obviously, the Simmons trade happened. We had set this conversation up before the Simmons trade went down. It just happened to be that Simmons got traded, so it all worked out. On that, you had an interesting question on Twitter today that I think I want to see what you got in reactions. You asked, after the Harden trade now, you have Harden, Embiid, Bryce Harper. Is there a player on the Eagles that would be in the top 4? Who's the 4th player in the city right now?
Yeah, and so I tweeted those 3 as the top 3 and perhaps Zach Wheeler as the 4th. And what I had in mind when I tweeted it was not like who's the most popular, who's fan favorite. It's more just who are the best athletes in the city right now. And when's the last time that an Eagle was not top 3 or top 4? Now, some of the reactions I got early, and I only checked for, maybe the first 20 or so minutes because, it's Twitter. So I can only imagine some people are probably outraged, offended, and all sorts of different things based on a rhetorical or a hypothetical there. But I did see some Claude Giroux responses that maybe I was discounting Claude Giroux. And that's fair. I know Claude's been here for a long time, and he was in the All-Star game, and he was, the MVP of the All-Star game?
The MVP of the All-Star game. He's closing on 1,000 games. I mean, he's.
I feel like that's a longevity thing for him. Is he right now a dominant hockey player the way Zach Wheeler was a dominant pitcher and Jason Kelce?
That's a good question, Moshe, because there's always been a debate on Giroux is, he's not on that tier with the best players. He's like the next tier down.
Right.
But on this team, he has been a great flyer. There's no question. But on your point, for not have an Eagle as a slam dunk in the 4 is kind of odd. I mean, Wentz was in there for a period, right?
And even when Wentz, if you didn't think Wentz was playing at a high level in 18 and 19, you're still getting high level play from Fletcher Cox at that point. He's kind of dropped off in the last 2 years, but I think he was still in the string of Pro Bowls and an All-Pro in 17, 18, 19 there. So he was a dominant player at his position. Kelce is still at that point. Jason Peters probably could have cracked a top 3 or 4 at that point as well. His decline started about a year or 2 ago.
Well, it's almost like Kelce's popularity, not to mention he's a very good player, he's been a first-team All-Pro guy, that right now that he would be the Eagle. Is it just?
Yeah, you would think. I mean, I think you could make an argument for the level of play that Darius Slay played at. You can probably make an argument that it's a little bit difficult to be a top 3 corner than a top 3 safety. Than a top 3 center. I don't know that for a fact. It's hard to compare 2 completely opposite positions. But you could probably sell me on Lane Johnson and Slay as competing with Kelce to be like the best Eagle at his position.
Slay. You could maybe not right away, but Mailata might be in that conversation soon.
Yeah, some people, Les Bowen retweeted me and said Devontae Smith, and I think it's a little early right now.
Yeah, I agree.
He certainly has the talent to be there, but he's not even Rookie of the Year. How can I compare him to a Cy Young winner, an MVP? It's a little James Harden. It's a little early.
Well, the 3 guys, Harper, Embiid, and now Harden's never played a game here, but I mean, obviously.
Right.
So you were looking at just who are the best 4 players, not the most popular.
Correct. Just the best 4 players. And some of this is going to determine what you think Harden is. I know that there's some concern, and I'm not to get out of my lane a little bit about, is he overweight? Is he not the player he was? I mean, wasn't it just on Christmas that he had like 36 points against the Lakers without KD and Kyrie there? And then the next game he had like 38, 15, and 10 against, I think it was either Golden State or the Clippers or something. I mean, this guy, I think, is still, when motivated and happy, a really, really good player. I'm probably a top 5 to 7 NBA player. I mean, you can throw some names out there and maybe people disagree. That's fine. But I think he's still an elite NBA player when he's happy and motivated.
I guess the one parallel to football in the question would be is like he's 32 and he starts to have the hamstring problems, and you could probably speak to like Deshaun Jackson when he started to get hamstring issues, it just can't get over them.
Right. And, you look at the way he plays the game, a lot of cutting, running, obviously at the point guard, that's a big deal. But something tells me now that he's got a new location, he's going to be fine. Like as far as conditioning and nagging injuries, something tells me he's going to be all right.
Did you watch the All-Star selection last night?
I didn't, but I saw some clips of LeBron and KD kind of joking about his health and what he wound up being picked last, right? I mean, he's not a very popular guy among his teammates.
He was the last pick, but it was great because LeBron says, "Wait a second, is James even playing? Isn't he hurt?" So he plays right into it, and Barkley says, "I don't think he's hurt anymore."
Yeah, he's suddenly feeling a lot better.
Right.
I think Harden has some parallels to Barry Bonds prior to steroids because Bonds was an elite player. He was not very well liked by a lot of people in his own clubhouse. And he also had a history of really not coming up clutch in the playoffs. Now, Harden's had some great playoff games. His thing is he has not had some great game 7s.
Right. He's had great playoff games, not closeout games.
Right. But there's some parallel there, like kind of just mercurial guys who kind of march to the beat of their own drum, elite at what they do, not overly wildly popular with other teammates and even fans. So I just think it's kind of interesting.
No doubt. I mean, he's definitely an interesting guy because I'm not like the biggest Harden guy in the world, and I don't know what it is. I just have always been like, and but I have heard. I think there's this thought of, hey, he forced himself out of 2 situations, and that doesn't make him look very good. But keep in mind, he was in Houston for like a 10-year run without any problems there.
Totally agree with you. I think that part has been made a lot. Like he's run himself out of 2 teams. He was with Houston for a long, long time. They kept changing the furniture there, trying to win. It just didn't work out. And then at the end, they were rebuilding, and he's not in a rebuilding mindset.
Yeah, he was just like, hey, I don't want to be here anymore. The team, we got as far as we could. You guys are starting to change it, and I don't want to be here. The whole thing in Brooklyn seems to be he did not get along with Kyrie or Durant, and part of it was the culture of the team. I think some of the stuff that's coming out now is that Harden didn't think they ran a tight enough ship up there.
Right.
Like that there was not a lot of
Harden's not the first guy to not have love playing alongside Kyrie Irving. That's kind of been a Kyrie thing for a couple of years now.
Yeah. I want to get some thoughts on the Super Bowl from you. Obviously, we got the game this weekend, and I think it's just such an intrigue. Like I wonder, is the world ready for the Cincinnati Bengals to be good at football? For they've never won a Super Bowl. They haven't been in the game for 30 years. Are we ready for this? Is this going to happen?
Well, I mean, listen, it could happen. And they're here. They're in the Super Bowl. And, I think the Rams, if I were a handicapper, I would probably put them as 5.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
But that means anybody can win the game. It's not like, to me, I'd be surprised if it was a blowout.
Well, I guess they're going to be are they in this for the long haul? The Bengals, are they going to be
If I had to predict, I would say no. I think we talked about this last week, and it's really nothing against them. I just think, you look at the Patriots, and a lot of their dynasty isn't just how great they were, but having 6 games a year against some of the worst teams in football, being the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins. The Bengals are competing in probably what if you were to look through the history of the game is probably the most difficult division in football, mainly because the Steelers and the Ravens are two just long-standing, steeped in tradition, successful franchises, and they're not going to be down long. And then the Browns you're catching at a time where they're starting to finally also come into their own. They're not a laughing stock anymore. They weren't that good this year, but they weren't awful. And of course, the year before they were in the playoffs and had that huge first round win that they have. So, I mean, I just don't see the Bengals, annually in the playoff. I mean, they get one injury type team. And certainly if Burrow gets hurt, that would derail them. But I just think it's going to be tooth and nail for them every single year. And there'll be some years where they're in the playoffs, and there'll be some years where I think they won't be.
Well, it's interesting because your premise makes a lot of sense. It's going to be interesting to see what Pittsburgh does at quarterback. Do you think that they go veteran quarterback and try to get one of these guys, or do they try to restart over through the draft with not a great quarterback draft class?
Right. I think they try to do sort of like what we talk about with the Eagles. I think they try to explore every option, and if they can bring in a veteran quarterback who's good, I mean, there's going to be certain levels to good, right? There's like Jimmy Garoppolo, who can be a bridge for them, and then I would think they would draft somebody.
Yeah.
Or there's like an Aaron Rodgers or somebody else, maybe a Deshaun Watson, who you think could be the long-term solution for them. But they've got a very good defense. They've got an offensive line and a running game that was making progress over the year, and they've got some good receivers. So they're made for a quarterback to go in there, and if he's good enough, be able to win enough games to make the playoffs.
Geoff Mosher, Football at 4. We were a little short today because we started late, but before we roll out of here, Super Bowl Sunday right here on 97.3 ESPN. So far, we had Sal Pal go 31-27 Bengals. We had a 27-17 for my old co-host Todd Rank. Where's Geoff Mosher going?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lowish scoring game. I know the over-under is like 48.5, so I would go under. I think I have the Rams winning 26-21, so not well under, but under still the over-under. And I wouldn't be shocked if this game was tied and low scoring at half, and it opened up a little bit more in the second half. I can see a 10-10 type of halftime score.
All right. Geoff Mosher likes Rams 26-21. You can hear the Super Bowl coverage starts at 5 o'clock right here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, man, enjoy the game. And
you too.
Are you back on Monday, I guess?
The way it's gone with us, I'll let you know by Sunday, I promise.
All right, man. Well, download the Inside the Birds podcast. Make sure you get all your Eagles off-season news and check out InsideTheBirds.com. Thanks, buddy.
Have a great weekend.
All right, Geoff Mosher here on the Sports Bash.